Well, this morning is a special Sunday, and I hope that you're ready for it. I hope that you're ready for this morning. It's been a long time in the planning. It's been a few weeks as we've moved our way slowly to this Sunday, Commitment Sunday. Last week, if you were here, you remember that we learned that tithing, giving, our gifts, when we say we'll support the church with our gifts, that gift is a vital part of the mission and the ministries of our local church. Without our prayers, our presence, and our gifts, we as a church really would be finished. We're done. Without prayers, presence, and gifts, we're done. But with that, we're unstoppable. And this week's readings were on our fourth and final topic, service. So when we join the church, in the United Methodist Church, we say that we support the church with our prayers, our presence, our gifts, and our service. This week's readings was on service, and Joe has a couple of insights that he'd like to share with us this morning. Joe.
Prayers, presence, gifts, and service. Why is service last? I think it's probably the only thing that's more awkward, more intimidating when you really think about it than even money. You know, that's the one we usually think about. But I really think service can be the most difficult topic. Of course, it's also known as volunteering or sharing or sacrifice. And the reason I think it's so difficult is because there's typically, I think, only one thing that gets in the way of prayer and presence and giving, and that's selfishness. We're selfish about our time, we're selfish about our money, and I think that's our biggest obstacle. But when it comes to service, in addition to selfishness, I think we're really afraid. And what are we afraid of? And I'm saying we a lot, but I guess I'm going to go on personal experience. I think one of the biggest fears that we have is what I call the sawing circle fear. I'm glad the sawing circle never called me because I think we're afraid of showing our ignorance. And if the sawing circle had called me, I would have come up with some excuses really quick and trying to convince them why I would not have been a good servant in that particular ministry. I think another reason that we're afraid to get a little bit dirty. And sometimes serving requires us to roll up our sleeves, either literally or figuratively, to get something done. And the truth is, a lot of us, I think, like to think of the church as a clean place, and a pretty place, and a place where we don't necessarily have to get dirty. And of course, that's not what service is all about. I think we also have anxiety about maybe dealing with people or serving people that we don't deal with every day. And I think we probably have anxiety about going places that we're not familiar with and maybe being in places that we don't typically hang out. I think we're also afraid of not getting recognition for our service, either from the people we're trying to serve or from our own brothers and sisters in the church. I think we also have excuses in addition to our fears that keep us from serving like we should. One of those that I've experienced is what I call thankfulness for others. I've had people call and ask me to serve in a particular way, and part of the pitch has been, you're good friends with so-and-so, they're doing this. And I react by saying, well, you don't need me because they're perfect for that job. They'll take care of you just fine, and I'll even call them and thank them myself for what they're doing. Another excuse that John Ed Matheson points out is our attitude that, well, we come to church to get fed spiritually. We don't come necessarily to do work for other people. He says that's dangerous in great part because we're going to get fat if we only come to church to get fed and we don't expend our energy by serving others. And another excuse I think that we use is that, well, I can give time or money, and I give money instead of my time, so that should be enough. None of those things changes our obligation to serve. And in fact, we're reminded early on in our reading for this week that even Jesus himself said in Matthew that his reason for being here was to serve and not to be served. And, well, it's nice to know that we're supposed to serve despite our fears and excuses, but how do we overcome those things? And we're reminded in our reading that we can all do something, and we all agree that we're all unique. And just when we buy into that about ourselves, that means, of course, that we all have something to give. And if we prayerfully consider our obligation to serve, what we can do and where we can do it, and commit by giving our best, we will be empowered to do what we're supposed to. And I thought something that was interesting in our reading was John Ad Matheson points out that what happens that we might not expect when we serve. Something pretty interesting I thought he pointed out was that if everyone is serving, in other words, if everybody's going rowing the boat, there's not time to rock the boat. He also said that we become closer because unlike Sunday morning worship, when we're working together in ministries, we're going to become closer with each other by getting to spend time with each other in a different setting. He also said, and I thought this was a good observation, that when we start serving, we're going to tend to keep on doing it. In other words, sort of the law of motion, that once you get in motion, you tend to stay in motion. In other words, good things happen in the church and beyond the church, and in ourselves and beyond ourselves. And I'm a quotation kind of guy. I like quotes, and John Ed Matheson certainly puts a lot in his writing. And one of those, I guess my favorite in this particular portion was, "The world is a dangerous place, not because of those who do evil, but because of those who look on and do nothing." Albert Einstein. And finally, I would just say, I hope you've read this part of the book. If you have, I encourage you to go back and read page 270. If you've not, and you're going to read one page, I think it's an excellent summary of service in this particular book.
Thank you, Joe.